Where do brilliant ideas come from? How do the world's most prolific artists, business people, thinkers, and inventors get the inspiration for the ideas, creations, and achievements? Was it the upbringing? Are they just really lucky? Or were they blessed with a gift most of us can only dream of? Or is there something else at work? The answer you're about to find out won't just surprise you, it could very well change your life forever. So, back in 1937, personal development pioneer Napoleon Hill published a groundbreaking book called Think and Grow Rich. That book would soon go on to become one of the most influential publications of all time. The book was packed with techniques and instructions on how to develop a wealth mindset and achieve success beyond one's wildest dreams. Its content was so powerful that to this day, Think and Grow Rich is widely regarded as a benchmark of all other books of its kind. In fact, you've probably read it yourself. Now, there was one particular technique in the book that shocked readers. It was so controversial, in fact, that Hill himself was initially hesitant to even reveal it at all. That technique was called the Invisible Counselor's Technique. In the book, Hill claimed this was his ultimate technique for sourcing skills, ideas, and inspiration. Napoleon Hill claimed that it allowed him to tap into the imaginary minds of anyone, living or passed on, to source ideas and inspirations. Hill admits to having spiritual meetings with Jesus, Lincoln, Socrates, Aristotle, Plato, Homer, Newton, Burbank, Edison, and William James, among others. In fact, he said, while the meetings of my cabinet may be purely fictional, and the meetings exist only in my own imagination, they have led me into glorious paths of adventure, rekindled an appreciation of true greatness, encouraged creative endeavor, and emboldened the expression of honest thought. So, what if this technique worked for you? What if you could tap into an infinite storehouse of wisdom? What questions would you ask? How about questions like, what is my true passion in life? How can I start making money doing what I love? What can I do next to improve my health, relationships, sex life, business, career? What beliefs are limiting me from achieving my goal? What is the most important thing you want to tell me right now? How do I explain to my wife the lipstick stain on my collar? Well, here's how you can use the technique. So, this is taken right out of Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich. Step 1. Just before going to sleep at night or during meditation, close your eyes and see in your imagination a group of people seated with you around a council table. Pick people, either living or passed on, whom you truly respect. These could be anyone from a grandfather or a father figure in your life, a mentor, or someone perhaps you've never met but greatly admire. Maybe a president of the United States, a best-selling author, successful entrepreneur, someone whom you think has a specific set of knowledge that can benefit you. Remember, you can invite anyone you like to sit at the council table. And when I say anyone, I mean anyone. They could be in another part of the world, they could be celebrities, famous politicians, they could even be alive or dead. Now, not only do you have the opportunity to sit amongst these you consider to be great, but you can actually dominate the group by serving as the chairman. This is what Napoleon Hill did. Step 2. Have a definite purpose for holding these council meetings. Hill explains his definitive purpose was to rebuild my own character so it could represent a composite of the characters of my imaginary counselors. So your definite purpose can be anything you want to change about yourself or your life. Since all this is going on in your own mind, your imagination really is the only limit. And now we come to step 3. Call on the council members for the knowledge you wish each to contribute. The idea here is to start a discussion with these people on any topic of your choice. So if you want to discuss leadership, you could invite Abraham Lincoln to be part of your council. If you're looking for enlightenment, you could always invite Gandhi. If you want to discuss financial success, you could bring in Warren Buffett. Or if you're looking for ideas to grow your business, make your mark on the world, go ahead and call on Richard Branson. And if you need advice on how to improve your life and relationships, maybe ask Oprah a thing or two. Okay, now here comes the weird part. The part that caused Hill to get somewhat scared of what he stumbled upon, and the part that caused some future publishers to censor this technique from the book. In fact, in Think and Grow Rich, Hill says that at a certain point, he was so amazed at the success yet spookiness of this technique that he stopped doing it for several months, just so he could recover. So, Hill had originally meant for the invisible counselors to be an imaginary exercise. You imagine you're talking to successful people and you imagine them giving you advice. Nothing much to it, right? But here's where it gets really interesting. After a few times of trying out the imaginary counselors exercise, Hill found out that these counselors became more profound, more real than he ever thought possible. He reported that after a while, each of the characters he imagined actually took on a life of their own. Each of these 9 men developed individual characteristics which surprised me, said Hill. For example, he wrote, Lincoln developed the habit of always being late and walking around in solemn parade. Burbank and Payne often indulged in witty repartee which seemed at times to shock the other members of the cabinet. One night, said Hill, Payne suggested that I prepare a lecture on the age of reason and deliver it from the pulpit of a church which I formerly attended. Many around the table laughed, but not Napoleon. He drew his mouth down at the corners and groaned. To him the church was but a pawn of the state, not to be reformed, but to be used as a convenient insider to mass activity by the people. So, really, on a number of occasions, the people he had invited would often give him advice and information that he could never have known by himself. But how was this possible? Now, if this was all going on just inside Hill's head, how could he be picturing, hearing, and learning things outside of his own comprehension? So what was really going on here? Was Hill really communicating with these people on some other plane of existence? Or did he just have an overactive imagination? So before you jump to any conclusions, consider this. Napoleon Hill was not alone. For centuries, some of the world's most successful and influential people have reported experiencing similar, inexplicable flashes of inspiration. Thomas Edison, one of the most prolific inventors of all time, was really fond of taking daytime naps. Miraculously, he'd wake up from these naps not with a headache, but with dozens of new ideas and inspirations for how to proceed with his research. Interestingly enough, Edison has been quoted as saying, "Ideas come from space." It's hard to believe, but it's true. Ideas come from out of space. And then there was Elias Howe, the inventor of the sewing machine. You may not know this, but Elias got the inspiration to create the sewing machine from a dream. Here's how he explains the dream. I was in Africa and was being chased by wild cannibals. They caught me and placed me in a huge pot. I kept trying to get out, but they kept forcing me back in with spears. The spears Howe saw in his dreams had holes in the tips. It was this bit of information that gave him the idea for the sewing machine needle, to put the hole not at the base of the needle, but at the tip of the needle. Walt Disney also had his unusual method of coming up with powerful ideas. Whenever he had an idea, Disney would run it through his meticulous 3-step process to guarantee his idea always turned out unique, powerful, and feasible. And what was this first step? Did he analyze market conditions? No. Study the competition? No. Plan his budget? Not quite. He would simply close his eyes and daydream. So all these highly successful people have one thing in common. They have discovered how to tap into a force beyond the confines of the mind and to draw from it infinite amounts of wisdom, inspiration, and success. And you know what? You could be doing this too. Remember how in the movie The Matrix people were able to instantly download skills and abilities into their mind? What if that was real? Imagine that for a second. You could be a successful entrepreneur by downloading the right information you need to grow your business. Or you could be a better leader through the same way. Or an award-winning painter, a writer, a better lover, a better parent, a martial arts master, an in-demand speaker. In fact, imagine you could be anyone you want, do anything you want, and learn everything you want. Well, guess what? Hill, Edison, Howe, and Disney were right. Because these techniques, the one I just shared with you, the Napoleon Hill technique, plus many more which we're going to talk about soon, do exist. And these techniques are great at tapping into intuition and inspiration. And you're going to meet a man who has taken it to a whole new level. In our next video, we're going to share with you a man who has used this exact same technique, first pioneered by Napoleon Hill, but he's used it to start a $1 million business, become a master painter and photographer, find a soulmate 30 years younger than himself, and all just before his 80th birthday. A word of warning, you've probably never seen anything like this before. The technique I'm talking about is based on quantum physics, the theory of multiple universes, and new breakthroughs on the understanding of the power of the subconscious mind. Tomorrow you'll meet this extraordinary man and learn how to take Napoleon Hill's ideas to the next level. So stay tuned for our next video.